A tribute to pianist and educator Linda Walters Byrd was recorded live via Zoom on November 17, 2020, a year after her passing, with contributions from her colleagues, students, family, and friends. This program was produced by the Unconservatory in collaboration with Firehouse Projects. The Unconservatory, Cranberry Coast Concerts, and Firehouse Projects support and promote creation, performance, recording, and education in the arts in South Florida, New England, and globally. This program is supported in part by the Miami-Dade County Department of Cultural Affairs, Florida Humanities, and the Miami Foundation for a Greater Miami.
Hello everyone. Every year since I started studying with Mrs. Byrd, I sent her a birthday card and called her to wish her a happy birthday. I thought we would all enjoy beginning the celebration of her life with a birthday card. I also call Miss Byrd each year to wish her a happy Mother's Day, as I feel that she was my musical mother. I would like to continue my contributions to this special occasion with a story about how I met Linda Byrd. I had been accepted with a scholarship to the University of Miami, but I wanted to keep studying with my current teacher at the time. This was acceptable to the Miami-Dade Community College music faculty. I was also not happy with the composition department at the University of Miami because the current head of the department told me that women did not make great composers. Figure that. So the dean of the UM suggested that I should check out MDCC, and she would hold my scholarship until I made my decision. I went to MDCC just to check it out and saw a sign that announced a scholarship auditions today. My sister was with me at the time, and I told her that I was going to sign up for it. I entered the audition room, and there she was, Linda Byrd. Following my audition, I was awarded a full scholarship and was approved to continue with my current teacher. Fast forward to a class at MDCC called Piano Seminar. I sat in the back of the class and was not a great student that day. I don't know why, maybe too much coffee. Really, I am not usually a bad girl, but on that day, I was terrible. Miss Byrd was lecturing to the class about the importance of relaxing the arms during a performance. I think she spotted me acting up. She called me out, asking me to come up and play something I had problems with. At the time, I was working on O Prole do Bebé by Villalobos and having a terrible time with the ending. I was getting more and more tense. Engaging with my physical approach, her comments to me about my technique unlocked my tension, and the music flowed from my fingers. After that class, I apologized to her for my crazy and insolent behavior. Of course, I immediately saw the value of her experience and advice. At that time, MDCC had a rule that you had to play in several studio and student recitals. The studio recital was a sort of master class with several teachers. Miss Byrd asked me, asked anyone that wanted to play. Seeing that no one was coming forward, I stood up and said that I had composed a piece, but was having a terrible time making it work. I played it, and guess what? Miss Byrd came over and gave me many great comments that I still use today. After that class, I heard through the grapevine that Miss Byrd was interested in teaching me, and I was very excited to be her student. So I knocked on her studio door and told her that I wanted to study with her. Guess what she said? Okay, sit down and play the scales. That moment was the beginning of one of the most important relationships in my life. I'm truly thankful for everything that Linda Byrd gave to me. In my life as a professional concert artist, I continue to value her counsel.
I'd like to say hello too. So the next thing up is a piece that Marilyn wrote in honor of Linda Byrd, and you want to say something about it?
Yeah, actually it's called Sevillana Linda because it was dedicated to her. And I premiered the piece with Kirk in the Kennedy Center.
Okay, here we go.
something funny that happened. Miss Byrd coordinated a master class that was presented by Michael Dilson Thomas, and she asked me to learn judo by Maurice Rurel. You never said no to her, I mean it. Or like she told me once, if you don't get it done by the next lesson, I'm throwing you out the window. That was the second floor, kind of scary. Well, I played the master class and she asked me to play it also at a concert with the rest of her students who had performed in that master class. Before I performed, she told me to explain the meaning of this piece to the audience. Well, some of you may know that my English is not perfect, and at that time it was not very good at all. Some words escaped me in English. I entered the stage and greeted the audience. During my brief introduction, I could not remember the word falls. So I told the audience how during the piece, you can hear the fountain dribbling, maniac, crazy dribbling. Miss Byrd was watching and listening backstage, and oh my God, she laughed so hard. It was really funny.
The next comments come to us from Maite Torreyes, and she asked if I could read this for you. She said, Dear Mrs. Byrd, when you left, I didn't know you were leaving. I thought you were eternal. During these last months, I've been very sad remembering my lack of sensitivity when discovering that you were saying goodbye. For one thing, I'm glad you finally got back to your father, the one that during more than 20 years taught the Bible to prisoners in jails, giving them courage to survive one more week. The man that taught you how to be a fix-it-all teacher, and you learned that very well. You fixed the musical periods, how to control our stage fright, how to deal with our challenges with courage, and most of all, you taught us how to accept others and how to be better people. Tonight, we want to be with you, honoring your life that meant so much to all of us. But next up, we had a short story, and I don't see Lori Struby here, but she told us the story. Did you remember the story?
Yes, actually, her son is studying, or actually he just graduated as an actor. He's also discovering his musical side, which is kind of funny because for years, Lori studied with Mrs. Byrd piano, but she's also a phenomenal cellist. And so she tried giving to teach him violin and all this stuff, and nothing really took until not very recently, when he sat at the piano and started trying to do some piano things. And she found some pieces that she had done with Mrs. Byrd, and guess what? The fingering that she gave her, she was able to pass it on to Joseph.
One connection that Ms. Byrd made for both Marilyn and I was something I don't think anybody expected. A student of hers from a little ways back, Robert Sachs, writes this from Beijing, China. He's teaching various classes over there, and he's been a band director, math teacher, English teacher. He asked Ms. Byrd if she had a student who might be able to do a show that he wasn't able to do. So we got the call, and that was for the key players in Key Largo. And since then, we've made innumerable great lifelong connections, including the director of Always Remember, Marilyn's musical we met in Key Largo. I think it just goes to show you a life well lived leads to many, many beautiful connections. Robert Sachs. Linda Byrd was a wonderful teacher who gave me confidence. I had studied a Russian zero weight type method of playing, so every stroke was a lift. She was determined to move me into the Czerny school, maybe. She wanted me to play full weight to the bottom of the keystroke, right into the bed of the piano. I had studied this weightless stroke because I had a wrist problem. Anyway, she said I, quote, played like a girl. Apologies to Marilyn. But she also gave me a lot of confidence and got me to play within a more expressive way. Again, from Robert Sachs. If anybody who's online right now, students of Ms. Byrd, wanted to say a couple of words, you could unmute yourself. We do have some planned comments from, I see a few people here, but does anybody else want to say anything now? You can just dive in for a moment. Oh, there's Jose, he's unmuted.
For me, like Marilyn, she pretty much, you know, who I am today as a musician, as a person, a big part of it has to do because of her. It's just the bottom line. And it is so wonderful that in my case, I've been able to, like some of the stories that you shared, Kirk and Marilyn, you know, she may not be here with us physically, but she continues to live through our teaching. Many, many times I tell my students, look, the way my teacher taught me how to play this is like this. This is her fingering. This is how she would phrase this. So she still lives on through us and through our students, the next generation.
You know, it's so true. I have so many funny stories. I mean, my English was so bad.
That's actually another Zoom. Marilyn will tell stories all night.
What happened is I was learning the harpet, and you know, it's like every time she says something, I went, yes, Miss Byrd, yes, Miss Byrd, but I had no idea what to say sometimes. But it took me a while to get it, you know. So one day she said, in the harpet, Marilyn, you have to, it's almost like if you went to a picnic and you're saving the picnic things, like saving your eggs and saving the salad. But all I heard was save your eggs. So during the piece, I kept going, save your eggs, save your eggs. But I had no idea what she meant. And I kept saying, save your eggs. So she stopped and she says, what are you saying? And I said, I'm saying exactly what you said, save my eggs.
Speaking of students, Jose, you were saying that her teaching lives on through you. I see them online right now, Steve Tinkham and James Dolan, and we're going to share a piece with you. Actually, this is something that I composed entitled Elegy for Ko Sa Long. There, I see Steve's face popping up. Hi there, Steve's in Massachusetts right now.
Hey, everybody.
Steve and Jimmy recorded this piece with us at the same concert that we recorded the Sevillana Linda on two wonderful concert grand pianos in Natick, Massachusetts. I originally wrote this piece for a student who passed away tragically, hence the title, Elegy for Ko Sa Long. And we had the opportunity to work with Jimmy and Steve, and I can't help but think that, especially through Marilyn, some of Linda Byrd's technique and musical expression has made its way into this performance. To set the stage a little further, Steve, who you see there, is Jimmy's teacher. So in a way, maybe Jimmy is the great-grandson student of Linda Byrd. So here we go. This is my Elegy for Ko Sa Long, Sunset at Il Sanjo, performed by Steve Tinkham and James Dolan.
whole look, the whole feel, just, that was amazing. That was the first time I've ever seen that.
I'm glad
you kept it for tonight. You kept it as a surprise.
Yes, actually,
with all the editing and everything. Yeah.
This is actually the first time that videos from that performance have been seen by anybody but us editing this.
Yeah. So, that was magnificent. Just fantastic. Great job, Kirk. I was honored to be a part of that.
Thanks, buddy.
Beautiful. Congratulations. The first time that we had 2 students premiere that piece, it was in California. And we did the audition with our backs to the people that were auditioning, to the kids that were auditioning. That way there was no favoritism, you know?
And we wanted 2 students to perform the piece because the young man who passed away, this was actually in a tragic accident, a picnic up at Lake El Sanjo in Sonoma County, California, where I grew up. And he was 14. He was the youngest of 8 children. They'd escaped the killing fields in Cambodia. And a terribly sad story behind the whole thing. But we ended up meeting the family, and they were at the world premiere played by 2 of our students from the studio at the Young Conservatory. And we saw a message from Jose. He said that he thinks he might have played that piece back at MDCC back in the day, right?
We gave a copy to Mrs. Byrd.
We did.
Yeah.
And Jose, I wanted to ask, did you happen to see any technical moves from Steve or Jimmy in their playing?
Passing on.
Yes. Definitely the wrists were not stiff. That's definitely the first place I started when I went to study with her for the first time. So yeah, that was one of the first things she corrected. So I noticed that in their playing as well.
Great. Well, thank you. Thanks again, Steve and Jimmy. Next up, I see she's ready. Angelica Sganga, another student of Linda Byrd, and actually the mother of a young actress and singer who was involved in Marilyn's musical Always Remember, and hopefully will be soon when we put it on. So, hello, Angelica.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
So yeah, I mean, it's so nice to be here. I'm very happy that you guys are doing this. So Miss Byrd, I didn't study with her for a very long time, but she was so close to my heart because my piano teacher passed away, and I was a senior in college, and I was getting ready to do preparing my senior recital. And the college was in transition, finding a piano teacher, so I kind of stayed on my own. And, you know, senior recital is a big deal, especially, you know, undergrad, you know, it's like the first real big performance. And she took me in, and she really prepared me for it, and she gave me all the guidance and the pep talks and everything that I needed to really pass that period of my life, because I had been studying with my former teacher for many years, and I really felt completely lost without her, you know? So she was wonderful. I have great memories about her. She taught me a lot of pieces by Grieg. That's one of my main memories, and I performed many big programs with the works of Grieg, and because of her. So I know she loved that composer. And another thing that I took from her that I hadn't experienced, at least back then, I remember how she used to always play recordings of different pianists and just talk about, you know, the background of the music and the period of time. And it wasn't just the actual playing, okay? She gave a lot of background information. And I had never been exposed to that, to be honest, that she would like pop out her little records and, you know. So, and now, like, I have a TV in my studio, and that's one thing that I really took upon her when YouTube came about. My dream was to have, like, to be able to show students different performances of different pianists and discuss, you know, their interpretation as opposed to what we're doing. And I got that 100% from her. Yeah. She was wonderful, and I'm just very happy that we're together honoring her memory and, you know, hopefully transmitting what she gave us to our students as well. So thank you for the invitation.
Lovely. And we remember having to go to the library, walking into the card file pulling it out and asking the person to pull the
Oh, yeah.
vinyl disc from
Oh,
back
yeah.
in the files, and frequently they dust it off because no one had requested it.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays you can find 47 different performances of the middle of anything. So
exactly. Yes. So yeah.
now actually we get an opportunity to listen to Angelica. She has provided us with a performance that she recorded of her playing Claire de Lune from Debussy's Sweet Bergamasque. It's funny. This piece is so famous that most people don't say where it comes from. But if anybody's listening, I think in this crowd, many people know, but we should say, especially because we're recording this, that there are 3 other movements of this piece. But this is definitely...
And they keep using that for movies.
They do. They do. And this is clearly the most famous movement of the whole set. Claire de Lune, performed by Angelica Sganga. Here we go.
was this?
So that was at the Coral Gables Museum. It was an old Debussy performance for the 50th anniversary. And it was a concert series that they were doing at the Coral Gables Museum. I want to say like 5 years ago, about, yeah.
If Steve and James are still listening, Jimmy, as we call him, he's played at several different concerts at Cranberry Coast Concerts. And Jimmy, are you there, or are you just seeing your phone on? I see Steve. Did you have anything to say, Steve?
Well done, Angelica. That's what he wrote.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Beautifully done.
Thank you.
Jimmy's remaining incognito. I see we have a couple more reflections to come up here. Tabitha, if you want to share something with us, there you are.
Hi. Yes, I'm Tabitha. And yes, definitely, I would love to. So I have a lot of fun memories with Linda Byrd. I met her, I believe, in late 1999, early 2000, and it was my freshman year of high school. And she was at the time my second teacher that I have ever had. The teacher that I was leaving the studio before her was my first teacher since I was 5. So Miss Byrd, she was a really big transitional point for me when it came to music. She kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone for one thing, but she pushed me out of being just an average intermediate performer into someone who will, aspire to go to college for music. So she challenged me in a lot of ways. If there's one thing I remember about her, just the fond memories I would have, it would be with Linda Byrd and my sister Trina. And we would take lessons together, just the three of us. Linda would be teaching my sister and I, and she would teach us these amazing Beethoven duets, and we would perform at the Miami-Dade College. And that was a really special time for me because at that time, my sister was actually struggling with cancer as well. So it was just a special time for me, my high school years, sharing that musical experience with my sister. And Linda, she kind of just guided us along. And when I look back at it and all the things that I've learned from her, I reflect on how much of an honor it was to just be accepted by her into her studio, because she was tough. She was really, really tough. That's the number one thing I remember the most, is that she didn't mess around and you had to come prepared to your classes. If you didn't come prepared, if you didn't practice, she will let you know. And it was an honor to be there, though, because I know that she wouldn't work with you if she didn't see something in you. And I knew that at such a young age. I knew that I was lucky to have her there and to learn from her. And yes, I do definitely use a lot of the techniques and the style of teaching that I've picked up from her, I do use with my current students as well. I do have cute little sayings as well, do the bunny fingers. And she did teach me, she was the first teacher to show me how to do very lightweight touching as well. Looking back on my high school years, I only worked with her up until 2003, and then I went to college and I had to move on to a different professor, but it was very special. And I always think of her and my sister together because that was my teenage musical experience. We kind of felt like a team, and we would travel and do these performances together. But yeah, and I'm just really grateful that you guys contacted me, Kirk and Marilyn. Thank you so much. So I'm really enjoying this tonight.
Glad you could be with us, Tabitha. Just for everybody's here who doesn't know you, you have a very interesting gig locally and fun to share with people.
Yes. So as I mentioned, yes, Linda, she encouraged me to train and go to college for music. And before her, it probably wasn't something I would have considered. I loved music so much, but I didn't know what I was capable of before she showed me and kind of guided me into it. So I did go to college for a music performance, and I studied organ, and I was auditioned for the job to be the Miami Marlins organist. And that's what he's talking about. I've been doing that for a few years, not this year. 2020. But yes, for quite a few years. But along with teaching locally in Miami-Dade. And
basically, then we can actually say that Linda Byrd has had an influence on Major League Baseball, as it were.
Definitely, absolutely. I'll tell you, someone had mentioned earlier, she trained you to perform, and she helped you kind of overcome the fear, the stage fright, and just have confidence. And oh yes, that definitely translates over to what I do at the ballpark. But yeah, she's definitely very much a part of my musical career.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Tabitha. That next time the Marlins have a home game where there's people involved, you can hear Tabitha's work on the organ.
She just gave so much time. When I was getting ready to audition for Boston University, I came over to her house, and I mean, I didn't have enough money to pay her the extra time. And she said, just don't worry, do good. And so I went out there to Boston, and when I auditioned and I got the acceptance and the scholarship they gave me, the first person I called was not my parents, it was her. And the funny thing was, when I told her that I was in and I had a scholarship, she said, oh my God, I just felt like I had a baby. So I'll never forget it. And I continued, even in BU. I mean, I used to call her and ask her, hey, what do you think about this piece? Or, I mean, she was amazing.
Well, and somebody else who couldn't be with us live tonight again wanted to share something, and this is David Brubeck, who's been a longtime colleague of hers at Miami-Dade Community College. When she was there, it was Miami-Dade Community College. Now it's Miami-Dade College. David Brubeck.
Hello, my name is David Brubeck. I've been a professor at the Kendall campus of Miami-Dade College for the last 30 years, and I would just like to pay my fond tribute to Linda Byrd, my friend, and my co-collaborator and musician and inspiration and so many things. I remember Linda and I had the privilege to play together one time representing Region 3, which is of course South Florida, of the Federation at the convention in Tampa, and we drove together through the state and to play our Chopin cello sonata together in Tampa. It's my fond memory of walking her dog at her home, and after we had rehearsed for a couple hours, and quite often she would fix dinner, and some of her friends would come over and her family, and getting to meet all of her wonderful family, and just the rich, vibrant life that she shared with so many people through her kindness, but also through her music. And I've just been very blessed to count her as one of my friends and to be one of my mentors and a musical collaborator, and really some of the finest playing I think that either of us did when we were together. And I'm saddened to hear at her passing, and enriched and blessed to know about all the beauty that she left behind in terms of music and friendship.
When I met Marilyn at the piano competition in Portland, Maine in 1988, I had not played any duo piano except for when people accompanied me on concerti. This hot stuff over here, she explained to me that there was a whole literature of works for one piano, four hands, and two pianos. That was the beginning of the end of me playing a lot of other people's works for ensemble piano, because now we've written tons of works that we played together of our own for two pianos, one piano, four hands, and a variety of combinations. But we thought this was a lovely moment that we could share with you. When we were invited to play in Saint-Martin de Vesubie, France, I thought this is also a moment to say something about this location in the world. They just suffered an enormous disaster a few weeks ago with the big rain that had come through, and half the town literally disappeared into the river from the floods that occurred, and they've been rebuilding, but it just won't be the same. And I've been trying to get in touch with our friends to see if this concert hall that we played in is still there. It does make our memories of this little part of the world that much more special. This is pas de deux from Samuel Barber's Souvenirs. And speaking of our teachers, Samuel Barber was quite the famous teacher, composer for John Browning, who I studied with. So if we're giving tribute to our teachers, I feel like I'm kind of the
grandson pianist of Samuel Barber through my beloved teacher, John Browning.
I have to say that all of the ensemble pieces that Marilyn and I have written and learned and played together, I'd like to think that a good bit of Linda's influence has come through Marilyn to me. So I'm quite obviously thankful of that.
And actually, in my musical, there's a piece by Chopin, which I know that was Mrs. Byrd's favorite composer. One of them, besides Grieg. I took one of the pieces by Chopin, which is the E major etude, and I kept it the same. And then on top, I composed a trio, three ladies singing, and it's dedicated to them.
Strap yourselves in. We have a big piece by Chopin, performed by José Antonio Cubela. Jose, would you like to say a couple more things for us, a couple more reflections, and set this piece up?
Many of you have shared your stories as to how you met Miss Byrd, and I wanted to just briefly share with you guys what my experience was. So it was in high school, and it was actually during a Tuesday night choir rehearsal at my high school. My director back then was Dr. Dale Willoughby. He had been formerly a University of Miami professor, and he invited this lady to come and accompany the choir. So she came, and I heard her play and accompany the choir, and I thought that her playing was different. It was so refined and beautiful. So during a break, I went up to her and I said, "Hi, I'm so and so," and I played a little bit for her. It was the Chopin Fantasy Impromptu, and she said, you know, she gave me some compliments, and then she sat down and played it, and it was sparkly, beautiful, and I thought, I have to learn from her. So from my director, I got her contact information. I called her, set up a time, and I went to her home, and I told her, okay, I'm gonna do everything that you tell me. I'm gonna learn everything. And she said, okay, let's start. Let me show you how to play C, D, E, F, G. Now, keep in mind, I was already playing large pieces, or not well. And she taught me how to play, how to use forearm rotation, how to use arm weight. Started with the basics of tone production. And it happened all on this piano here. So, and you know, since then, I even when I, like Marilyn, when I went on to study with Dr. Gary Wolf, he was a tremendous teacher, but I still referred back to her teaching and to her, calling her, just like Marilyn, just like you did. When I went on to Texas Christian University to study for my master's degree, I would call her and would get her opinion on programs, would even return to Florida and play for her and have her, you know, show me, hey, what do you think of this? And, you know, what can I say? She was a huge influence, still is. One of the things that I wake up, that I have taken from her regarding teaching is, I remember her saying this many times, that every day she wakes up and she says, I'm going to be a better teacher today than I was yesterday. And that is my motto. And a better musician, a better person, better than I was yesterday. And this piece that I recorded, so I feel privileged that I have her piano here and her music books. However, just know that I know there are many of you students here and others that were not able to join them. Though I have these books, know that I'm happy to share, and just know that these books, if you need something that you remember having in her collection, I'm happy to share those scores. And her piano, you know, is here in Fort Worth. So if you want to see it, you're welcome to my home. So one of the recording that I made yesterday is of one of the last pieces that I studied with her. And of course it was Chopin. This was already after I had done my master's degree, and I had gone back. I wanted to study this work. So this was one of the last pieces I played for her. And I recorded it. It was a little difficult to record after a while of not playing it, but I hope that you will enjoy.
Wonderful. Well, here's José performing the third scherzo, C sharp minor by Frédéric Chopin. Bravo.
Beautiful.
I heard her play that the first time I went to meet her. She was practicing that. So yeah, I tried to make that sparkly sound that she made. I've not gotten there yet, but her sound is still there in my mind.
Beautiful, beautiful job.
I know she'll have been proud.
We have to say happy birthday to Gilberto Valera. Speaking of teachers, we get to support him and on his birthday today.
Yes.
He's looking for French, English, and Spanish students, right, Gilberto?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you very much, by the way.
You bet. And you're in San Francisco, I see.
No, apparently. No, I'm in Boston.
Yeah, so, but it won't stop you from teaching anyone around the world, correct?
Right. I use Zoom. I do it through Zoom.
If you can't find Gilberto easily, you can always contact us and we'd be happy to get you in touch with him. Again, another wonderful teacher and another idiom today. Let's give the last comment to Dr. Shannon Byrd, Linda's daughter. We'd be delighted to hear what you have to say.
Oh, there's Ellen. Well, firstly, I just want to say I'm overwhelmed, but this is my daughter, Kaylin, and she's granddaughter. And the hair, yeah. And I will say I grew up, and they grew up too, listening to all these pieces over and over again. The one Jose just played. I feel like I could play it, but yet I couldn't play the first note. But just because I've heard it so many times, and I really appreciate you playing that, Jose. That brings back a lot of memories. You know, it's so heartwarming to know that she lives on through you guys. I can see it. I'm not a musician per se, but I can see it in the wrists because I did listen to a lot of lessons as I was growing up. The way you strike the keys and the passion, you know, you play with. So we haven't heard, you know, a lot of the stories told from the other direction. We've heard your names and things through the years from her direction, but so I really do appreciate that. I will say I'll share an interesting story, and Jose knows this story because he helped me. But when she passed, you know, we were trying to figure out. She wanted a simple sort of graveside service, and so you know we had her whole family there in Shreveport, and so I was trying to figure out, you know, how to work that in, and Jose helped me with the music because we weren't sure how we were going to get the prelude and the postlude, kind of how we were going to make that work. And so he came up with her master's thesis recital. We had it on CD, and he found it. Actually, her friend Joe Tobin found it. Between Jose and I, he was able to download it and get it to me, and it worked. So just so you know, she's the only person in the history of that. The minister who'd been ministering for 30 years had never had the deceased play her prelude and postlude. Swimmingly. It was gorgeous. My cousin, who's a techie, helped with the sound, and that was pretty cool. The minister really couldn't believe it, but that's what she would have wanted. So, because you know, she was had those exacting standards. But you know, it's from the bottom of our heart, we really appreciate it. That she meant that much to you guys and us as well. So thank you.
Our pleasure.
Pleasure. And you know, November 17th, I never forgot. I never will ever forget. While I am still alive, I will always wish her happy birthday wherever she is.
We made a photo montage of some programs and photos that we received set to a piece that Marilyn wrote for our group, the Unconservatory Festival Orchestra.
Yeah, you can tell us. I got to tell a story.
Go ahead, tell us a story.
Of course, you know. What happened is, as you know, when you're teaching students and you tell them to practice the scales, what is the one thing they don't want to do? Scales. So I thought, show them. So I wrote a piece that has a whole bunch of scales. And then I liked it so much, I ended up making it bigger. And so I added the orchestra to it, which, by the way, we performed with George Mansour.
Who's in there snooping on us now, yes.
Right. No. It's his wife. I'm here. I'm okay.
You've made it.
I made it. It's a long story. I'll tell you later.
That's okay, because actually one of the pictures that you will see, you're actually in on this montage.
I did a solo recital because Miss Byrd said,
right.
"You have to do this," and so I wrote a piece, and it was a piece that had harp and cello and violin and viola, and the piano, of course, and we actually practiced it, and everybody was squishing to this little tiny room. In fact, the harp.
That was hysterics. That's the first time I was to your house. I remember that.
I was practicing on top of the piano. Oh, it was just crazy, you know. That was my first ever solo recital, and Lori played in my piece, Bajo my Kids, Wake Up My Child.
Yes.
Rumbada, which is accompanying the final photo montage. We should say, since Lori's on here, we performed Marilyn's Rumbada with full orchestra, among some other pieces, with her playing cello and her husband conducting the Merrimack Valley Symphony. And her son, yes, performing a percussive technique. At any rate, it really feels like we should all pour ourselves a glass of wine together and enter the second hour of the Zoom. But that, I think, is a Jose, please take us home, my friend.
Well, I wanted to thank both Marilyn and Kirk for organizing this wonderful memorial. We appreciate you guys, and could not have accomplished such a lovely event without your efforts and time. Also, it is so wonderful to see faces and names that I have not seen or heard from in a long time. Like Angelica, I heard about you through Ms. Byrd. Tabitha, of course, I miss your sister Trina. She and I believe, also performed. And it's so good to see you. I think you were working on this piano while in high school on the Bach G major prelude at one point when I went to visit Ms. Byrd, and you were having a lesson with her. And I think that's Maite up there. Is that Maite?
Yes.
And it's so good to see everybody. And, you know, the thing that made, from all the teachers that I've had the opportunity to study with, what made her so special was her generosity in her time. Her love for music, her love for teaching, her love for knowledge. That's something that no other teacher that I studied with has. Her insights, her ability to diagnose and prescribe solutions to problems, technical problems, musical problems. The care that she took in each individual that came into her studio was absolutely astonishing. Her uncompromising caliber of musicianship, I've never seen anything like it. And I've studied with many people, and at this point I've studied with people all over the world. And I have traveled and taught many folks, many students. And, you know, she will always be in our hearts. She'll always be in my heart, in my life. And, you know, it's something that I wish there were more people like her. There's no one else like her. So I feel quite fortunate that I had her, that I had the opportunity to meet her, that she was and is still a monumental part of my musical life and of my students' life, of your lives here today, and frankly of many others who are not able to be here on Zoom with us today, but who are looking forward to seeing the recorded version of this. So Again, thank you all for your time, and I hope perhaps to make that connection and continue that connection with all of you and between all of us. So, and thank you again, guys.
Thank you.
We will leave you with our montage of photos and programs from Linda Byrd's life, accompanied in celebration with Marilyn's original piece, Rumbada.
Thank you for being with us tonight on this very special occasion.